Well, hello again. As you can see, I'm getting used to the crazy professor look. It's a bit chilly this morning. It's, what is it, 9 o'clock? And it's the 24th of July 2024. It's a bit chilly. It's July is the midwinter month here. No snow or ice, of course. It's probably going to be, I don't know, 16 degrees, 17 degrees centigrade today. Anyway, as usual, I've been looking around at what the piffle peddlers have been saying, and I found that I've actually made quite a few notes. So I thought, oh, actually, I better set that. I better set the timer, because making videos more than 30 minutes long is a real pain, because I use the old version of Movie Maker and I've got an old computer and it takes forever to compile it. So as this may run over, what I'll do is whatever doesn't get mentioned will go into the next video, if you see what I mean. So I'm making the video a bit earlier this week because there are, I think, a few things to comment on that's worth mentioning. Now, Lou Elizondo's book, of course, has been leaked. I've had a bit of a look at what's been leaked. Lou Elizondo tells us you only need one extraterrestrial spacecraft detection device. You just got to know where to put it. So he's sort of suggesting that, I don't know whether this is in the book or not, but ET is, they know where ET is coming and they just put one detection device there and you can detect them. Some sort of special ET detection device, so they can be detected when cloaked. Just like they do in Star Trek, funnily enough. Which is in contrast to Danny Sheehan, who says there's a system called Golden Domes. I think this is inspired by Israel's Iron Dome system. Now, apparently these golden domes dotted around the place, they can also detect cloaked alien spacecraft. Now, personally, I think that's a lot of golden balls. I don't think any such system exists. As I've said before, I think ET technology will be such that if they were coming here, they would be completely undetectable. Yeah, I think that's complete and utter rubbish. So, oh, got these in the wrong order again. What happened to the note about Lou Elizondo? The chapter's in his book, and someone was reading some of it out. Sorry about this. Burning up valuable time, isn't it? The 30-minute record time. Quite a lot of this is about Gary Nolan, actually. Yeah, good heavens. I didn't think I paid Gary Nolan that much attention after his aliens in the bedroom story. Where is it? I can't find it. But anyway, Lou Elizondo. Yeah, I can't find it. Lou Elizondo. I'll probably come to it later on in the thing. Lou Elizondo, apparently in his book, has been saying he was using remote viewing, reaching out with his consciousness. Him and a few other remote viewers at the Pentagon. They went in this room. They all had their lunch packs with them because they knew they were going to be there for some time. And they sat in there and they psychically connected. They focused their psychic energy on a terrorist thousands of miles away. And they put these visions in his head of angels coming to to convince him his evil ways weren't the right way to go. And to make him sort of psychologically disturbed. Now, who here believes that? Remote viewers, psychic energy, focusing on a terrorist thousands of miles. This is apparently in the book. You know, this is what you'll be spending your money on. Thousands of miles away, and they're convincing him either to hand himself in, or he was in captivity, that you know, he might go, oh no, you know, angels are coming for me, and kill himself or something. Who knows? Personally, I think that's a lot of crap. Elizondo told Hal Puthoff of this, and apparently he had some feedback. There were some results achieved. He told Hal Puthoff, who was impressed. Remember Hal Puthoff, Psychic Spy, Stargate projects, you know, remote viewing during the Cold War. Scientologists, you know, he believes he's got a thetan living inside him that's been there for trillions of years. It's all rubbish, isn't it? Absolute rubbish. All of this stuff. Now, fortunately, I did get a copy, an advanced copy of Lou's book to peruse at my leisure, and I have it here. There we go. There it is. Imminent by Lou Elizondo. It's arse paper, isn't it, really? It's arse paper. Talks about demons. Angels or demons is one of the chapters. There's not going to be anything juicy in there because it was cleared by Dopser. You know, Dopser's not going to clear anything secret. It's just going to be, like I said, it's going to be a Philip Corso 2.0. It's going to be some military memoirs seeded with a lot of science fiction rubbish. So personally, I will be saving my money. I will be saving my money. So yeah, personally, I'd put a line through Lou Elizondo's book. So yeah, Danny Sheehan was talking about the Golden Domes. He was on another podcast. I've said before, you know, they're trying to keep all this ETs coming here, science fiction rubbish alive with more science fiction stories. You know, they're pumping up the ETs coming here balloon. It's deflating just as rapidly, even more rapidly, I'd suggest. People are beginning to. The more comments I read now on these YouTube channels that are putting out this ET stuff, the more there's more and more comments saying it's a load of rubbish. I used to think there was something to it, but not anymore. It's obviously, very obviously, rubbish. So if you watch any of these channels, just read the comments. Sometimes even they even leave my comments there, so you could see some of my comments there. Now, Gary Nolan. He says he's arrogant and conceited. Well, I wouldn't disagree there. He says there's many types of disclosure. There isn't, of course. Disclosure is somebody coming forward officially and saying here's some ET biological or technological material. It's been peer reviewed by independent universities, respectable universities, not ones you've never heard of. And this material is not of this earth. It was manufactured by a technology off this planet, by an alien species outside of this solar system. That's disclosure. Anything else is not disclosure. Gary Nolan says he has personal disclosure. He's because he's of what he's seen as a child, and he doesn't elaborate on that. Now, we know that he said that he had aliens in his bedroom when he was a child. They were looking through the window. They were there for weeks on end. Now, he said the time period all this was happening is a bit difficult to put his finger on because he keeps going by the age of his brother. Now, that suggests to me that his brother is in the same room. Now, when I was a kid, I never had to share a room with siblings. We had our own rooms. So this suggests to me, if he can only focus this by imagining his brother at a certain age, his brother's in the room with him. Now, I'm trying to imagine sharing a bedroom as a child with one of my siblings, and every night of the week, for weeks on end, there are aliens in the bedroom, and they're looking through the window. I think I'd be likely to say to my brother or sister, who do you think these guys are? Do you think we should tell Dad? Shall we ask them what they want? There is no elaboration to the story. I think it's all in his head. Now, either deliberately, it's a science fiction story he's made up and he knows it, or it's his imagination. He's letting his mind run away with him because he used to fill his head with science fiction. He's said on some of these podcasts he was always buying science fiction books. So he's filling his head with all this science fiction rubbish, and what, surprise, surprise, he sees aliens in his bedroom. He's never brought his brother on to have a chat about it, has he? We've never seen him and his brother discussing this. He's never mentioned that him and his brother discussed it at the time, or they discussed it with their parents. Do you think their parents would have been interested in the kid's bedroom being full of aliens? And he never mentions, he's only ever mentioned once, the alien that came to see him in his bedroom as an adult. When he just moved over to Stanford, I think it is, he was going to start his job as a professor at Stanford, and an alien appeared in his bedroom and communicated with him telepathically. That seems to have gone by the board. That's not a child's imagination, is it? So, and he never ever says what this alien communicated with him. So what did the alien say? Why would he... The first question Gary Nolan should have asked the alien is, why have you singled me out for this? Why am I getting all this special treatment? It's making me feel really special. But why am I receiving it? What information did the alien give Gary Nolan that couldn't have been given to Gary Nolan by a terrestrial? We don't hear any of that, do we? So, personally, I don't believe it. I think it's a lot of crap. I don't know whether he's lying, whether he's just delusional. Who knows? What I'm firmly convinced of is that it's complete and utter rubbish. Nolan says that the government can't disclose ET is here because of past sins. Yeah, we've been hiding it since 1947. Is what he's got in mind, and that's complete and utter nonsense. We know Roswell wasn't the crash of an alien spacecraft. Just look at Mac Brazel's statement, what he found 3 weeks before July the 7th. It was nothing to do with the weekend of July the 7th. There was no bodies to be preserved, not after 3 weeks of laying in a field. Brazel said he found balsa wood sticks, tin foil, strips of rubber, cardboard, tin foil. It's not an alien spacecraft. And why does Nolan think it's going to be down to a government? Why does he not think that they could just land anywhere, anytime, and it will be on every television channel on the face of the earth? People will be live streaming it. It'll be all over social media. Why does Nolan think the only way this is going to be disclosed is if the US government discloses it? What sort of mindset is that? So, I think the bottom line is Nolan is extremely gullible, and he's swallowed the Kool-Aid. I'm sure he's brilliant with his microscope, but when it comes to this sort of thing, it seems to me that he's extremely gullible. He will swallow any of this ET's coming here rubbish. I mean, he's probably been fed this stuff by Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, He's probably lapped up all this stuff from David Grush. He talks about the Soul Foundation, he's allowing people to tell their stories. But really, standing in front of a bunch of academics and telling science fiction stories is a waste of time when it's supposed to be based on fact. You know, you've got an admiral and a colonel standing up there. The admiral says, "Oh, I know, we're interacting with several alien species." You know, well, how do you know, Admiral? Oh, well, I've been told. Not good enough. Not good enough by a long chalk. Why would you put that guy in front of a bunch of academics? And Gary Nolan says, you know, there should be a platform for people to come forward and tell these stories without ridicule. And he has a go at deGrasse Tyson. Now, I think ridicule plays an important part in this, because there's so much science fiction rubbish in this ET business, and that's what it is, that more science fiction rubbish should be discouraged. So if someone comes along with a fanciful yarn without tangible evidence to back it up, it should be discounted. That's what I think, because there's just too many people telling science fiction stories, and they love it when people like Nolan say they should get a platform for telling their story without ridicule, because then they know they can go and tell the science fiction stories, people will lap it up, and they might even get on the talk circuit and make money out of it. How ridiculous is that? If you're trying to research something that is not what you want. It's not what you want at all, is it? Oh, the other thing Nolan said was that you know, these alien spacecraft might not actually use any power. You know, he didn't say this, but this is something I thought of. So he's basically saying they're like surfers, you know, riding a wave. They travel around space using wormholes, and they don't actually use any power, so they don't direct the wormholes. They're like surfers. They've got no control over the waves. It's a bit like an episode of Time Tunnel. Do you remember that? Anyone old enough to remember the TV series Time Tunnel? They press a button, bzzz, whizzes around. They come out in a different time. But it's always at an interesting point in time. You know, they never come out in a time period in somebody's barn where they're just milking cows or something like that. You know, it's always just at a point where they can observe an important part of history. And I think Gary Nolan's, well, I think he's old enough. He's in his 60s, isn't he? He's old enough to remember Time Tunnel. So he's in the back of his head somewhere. He's got this, you know, you can just pop out anywhere sort of mentality. Of course, that's complete and utter rubbish. If you did have a Starfleet and you wanted to observe up-and-coming species to see if they're dangerous, you certainly wouldn't be interested in nurturing them. You're going to want to target where your Starfleet spacecraft are going. You're not just going to want to jump in a wormhole, see where it comes out. I mean, especially in the galaxy, you could come out anywhere, you know. You know, I mean, how many tidal locked rocks and gas giants is it? Are you going to pop out near before you pop out near a planet that's got some kind of life on it? You know? It's complete and utter rubbish. And this is what they teach at the Soul Foundation, is it, or what they present at the Soul Foundation? Yeah. So I saw what was it? There was a little panel there. I can't remember if this one was with Gary Nolan. There was a guy called Jason Guglielmetti. He was on a podcast and he said he was in contact. He was at Contact in the Desert. Now, looking at Contact in the Desert, the people that were speaking there, as I've said before, you couldn't pay me enough to go and stand in that or sit in that hall to listen to those people. And he says, he tells us that the US, Russia and China are all reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Now, personally I don't believe that. I don't think anybody's reverse engineering alien spacecraft. But just think about that for a minute. Russia, the US and China are reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Now, if this was true, I think Russia would be doing much better in Ukraine. I also think that Russia and China would have put people on the moon by now. So put a line through this reverse engineering alien spacecraft, Russia, China, the US. Forget it, it's complete and utter rubbish. Just apply a little bit of critical thinking to it. It falls in a heap in a microsecond, doesn't it? These notes are a little out of order. As usual, because there was some other Nolan stuff I was going to talk about. Oh, this was the page I was looking for. We've already done that one. So, yeah, Nolan says that. This guy on the podcast. First of all, Nolan was bagging deGrasse Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was saying he's a science presenter. He's not a scientist. He's a TV presenter. Oh, he's got a PhD, deGrasse Tyson. The podcast guy said to him, I think I should get both of you on together and you can discuss it. And no, I'm not coming on with deGrasse Tyson. And that's because he knows deGrasse Tyson would rip him a new one. I couldn't make a further comment there, but he said that deGrasse Tyson is not on the same intellectual level as himself. That's Gary Nolan. Now, all deGrasse Tyson ever says, as far as I know, is show me the evidence. Show me some tangible evidence that ET is coming here. Show me some evidence that you are interacting with aliens. As I've said myself, that's all I've ever said. Show me some tangible evidence. It's peer-reviewed, by respectable universities, independently. If they say it's ET material, be happy to accept it. That's all deGrasse Tyson is saying. And all I've said as well is, if you're interacting with aliens on a regular basis, just get a selfie with an alien. A couple of aliens standing behind you with their thumbs up. They're going to have thumbs up. They're going to have thumbs, because they'll need physical dexterity to build the technology to get it. Don't see any of that. That's all deGrasse Tyson is saying. And Nolan is at his throat because of that. And he said he won't debate him. He doesn't want to bring him up to his intellectual level. I mean, what sort of rubbish is that? And then he goes on to make some really ridiculous comments about SETI. He's got it in for SETI as well, Shostak. They're wasting their time. You see a signal 100,000 light years away, you could never prove it's from ET. That's because Nolan is a bioman. He doesn't understand radio physics. He doesn't understand that, if you get, even if it's from 100,000 light years away, if you receive a signal and it's narrowband and it's got modulation on it, it's got information on it, it's a synthetic signal. If that's verified by other radio telescopes around the world to be coming from that point, to be narrowband, and it's got modulation on it, that is proof the signal is coming from a technological civilization. Nolan can't grasp that. And he's got the nerve to say deGrasse Tyson is not on the same intellectual level as him. That's complete and utter rubbish. Yeah, I mean, so he says SETI are a bunch of cowards. Well, of course they're not, and they're just soaking up money to get their multi-million-dollar satellites and all this sort of stuff. Well, as far as I know, SETI hasn't got any satellites. I think he's confusing. He's probably putting the JWST in the same basket as SETI, which I don't know. Actually, probably is, isn't it? I mean, it's looking for techno signatures out in the galaxy, and that is how ET is going to be found. I've said before, I'm sure they have to be out there. Apparently, AI has predicted that there are at least 2 technologically advanced species in this galaxy. Now, when you consider how many stars there are in this galaxy, how far the galaxy is across, if there is only 2, we're probably not going to be able to detect them. Or if we can detect them, remember that when you're looking through space, you're looking through time as well. I mean, if there's 2 other species and they're 120,000 light years away, we're not going to detect their episodes of Star Trek for 120,000 years. I think there's probably more than 2, to be honest. I mean, just with the number of stars and planets, it's got to be. That doesn't mean I think they're coming here. I think the technology required to fly between stars is not going to be very easy. Putting it mildly, I'd be very surprised if it's possible at all. As I've said before, we need a good understanding of gravity, dark energy, and dark matter before we can say whether or not it can or cannot be done. I personally don't think it can be done. But if deGrasse Tyson and Nolan appeared together, deGrasse Tyson would rip him to pieces. You know, the first thing deGrasse Tyson would say was, can you elaborate on the aliens in your bedroom story? Was your brother in there at the time? Did you discuss it? Did you discuss it with your parents? When you were about to start your job as a professor at Stanford, you had an alien in your bedroom that communicated with you telepathically. What exactly did he say? And Nolan would fall in a heap very, very quickly. So, yes, he is arrogant, and I can't remember what else he said now, but he described himself rather well, Nolan, in that interview, I thought. Conceited. So personally, I would take what deGrasse Tyson and Seth Shostak of the SETI community, JWST, have to say over anything Gary Nolan says any day of the week. Oh yeah, Nolan says people that interact with ETs should talk to biologists and psychiatrists, not talk to astronomers or radio astronomers. Well, he's right there. There, I would agree with him. I'd strongly recommend anybody that thinks they're interacting with aliens, extraterrestrials, should go and talk to a psychiatrist or a psychologist as soon as possible. Oh dear, it's complete and utter rubbish, all this stuff, isn't it? I mean, really. You know, from Lou's science fiction book, I've said it's going to be Corso 2.0. I said it weeks ago. It's going to be ripped to shreds, the reviews for this book, unless it's reviewed by one of the dyed-in-the-wool fanboys. So SETI could find a signal today, you know, get it verified, proof of intelligent life out in the galaxy. Nolan has no grasp of this, no concept of it, and he thinks they are not, you know, that deGrasse Tyson is not on his intellectual level. I don't think he said that about Seth Shostak, but he's talking about SETI in a way that would give me the impression that he has that impression. And of course he's just, I don't know what he sees when he looks in the mirror, but it's not what everybody else sees, that's for sure. Yeah, okay, well I think I've whizzed through that pretty quick. That's surprising really, because normally I've only got a few pages of notes and there's 6 or 7 here. I think some of it's duplicated because, as I've said before, I don't look at it all at the same time. Yes, he's done that bit where he reckons that SETI are cowards, completely and utter rubbish. You know, a coward is someone that gets an extraterrestrial ball from Texas, analyses it, knows full well that it's actually a terrestrial ball check valve made in the good old US of A, and doesn't announce it as such. That's a coward. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to wrap this up, otherwise I'm going to miss the end again. There are no crash retrieval programs until proven otherwise with tangible evidence. It's all science fiction rubbish. Don't forget to rush out and get a copy of Lou Elizondo's book. Arse paper. Alright, that'll do. Anything left is going to have to go in the next video. As always, if you've struggled through the video all the way to this point, many thanks for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.